Morning. This is MS. You have hope. I hope you don't have this cold. We're talking to Sarah Karim. We've just been going over how I was supposed to say her name, and I've already messed it up. Anyway, nice to see you again. Uh,
It's great
Sarah
to be here.
has done the protocol a little bit over 3 years now, I believe, or around three
Yes, that's
years.
correct.
Um, she's doing wonderfully, and we're going to, see how she's doing today, follow her journey a little bit, and hopefully she's had multiple sclerosis for 20 years, diagnosed 20 years. And so it should give some of you out there hope that you can have MS a long time and you can do this and it works. Before we get started here, I'm going to read a short medical disclaimer so our friends won't sue me, and then we'll get started. This interview is from our own personal experiences. We are not medical doctors and therefore not giving medical advice. Uh, there are different ways and means of treating chronic autoimmune diseases such as MS. For this reason, we strongly recommend seeking the guidance of a trained medical professional. These are our own personal experiences doing the Coimbra Protocol and are meant for entertainment purposes only. Good morning. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing great, John. Thanks so much for having me.
So nice. So nice to see you again. So nice to see how we were just talking about how you smile after the protocol and you'd laugh. And
Yeah.
another thing we're noticing today, people, my hair used to be brown, light brown. I don't know if that's vitamin D doing that or what, but I'll take it because I don't have any gray hair showing up. But anyway, being on the protocol, you're just so happy. You just, uh, I don't know about Sarah, but I don't even think about MS anymore. I mean, it's not, when I say I don't think about it, I don't get up in the morning and think, is something going to happen today related to MS and
Mhm.
be worried about it. Anyway, we're going to see a little bit about how she's doing now, and we're going to maybe breach a few topics that I know people want to know. So, anyway, take it away.
Sure. Yeah. So, as John said, I've been on the protocol for about 3 years now. Um, I am doing well, especially considering I have had MS for about 20 years. Um, I was never on any disease modifying drugs. So I guess the jump to get into the protocol, it wasn't too difficult because I wasn't on the drug, so I didn't have to take that leap of faith. Um, Although I did have to take that leap of faith thinking that, okay, well, I'm getting into this protocol, will it work? I think for me, it was more a question of will it work? And yeah,
What
so
year were
I
you
think
diagnosed?
2003. Yeah.
That 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And like, I mean, luckily I wasn't on any disease modifying drugs. And then, um, but I mean, it doesn't mean that I've had an easy life, right? Like, I mean, I've had all the other symptoms that many individuals with MS also have. Like, I have the heat intolerance. I have, the gait issues. I have, the bladder issues. Obviously, the the bladder issues are more now that I have to drink 2.5 liters of water. But yeah, like I mean, considering all of that, like I'm doing quite well. So yeah, and I was telling John this morning, I'm here in Calgary and I have it's a little bit humid out today. We've been having a lot of rain. So the humidity and the heat affects me. So like I mean, I'm sure all of these things affect individuals with MS the same way that it affects me. And I'm hoping that it will get better. Like I was reading something that you had written, John, and you said that it took X amount of years for your heat intolerance to decrease. And so I'm waiting for that to
over
happen with me.
over
Yeah.
3.5 years, yes. But
Yeah.
it went
So
away. Like I'm getting ready to go out in the sun when we're done with this interview. I'm gonna go sit in the sun. 5 years ago, or yeah, 5 years ago, I couldn't do it. It would
yeah.
just, it would kill me. I couldn't
Yeah.
stand it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping you know what? I'm just hoping and I'm
Sure,
just
you
hoping
have
that it's
hope
going to be a
now.
wonderful summer. Yeah.
That's the thing about the protocol. It does give you hope, you
Yeah.
know, no matter what your conditions. I'm in a wheelchair. I hope I'll walk again. Well, I don't know, but I have hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I think with the protocol, yeah, like hope is something that we can always have. And, you know, like sure, it takes a little bit of time and it takes a lot of patience. And yes, we have bad days. You know, like the humidity is affecting my walking today and yesterday. Um, but again, when the humidity goes away, it will get better. So for me, like it's those are the things that I always remind myself is that, you know what, things will get better. And that's something that, you know, I didn't have before. You know, I still go to physio. I go to physio once a week. Um, and so that helps. And then I do some secrets of natural walking every day. I try to do about
That's
half an
good.
hour.
Walking
Yeah,
is very important. If you can do it, do it.
yeah. So yeah, that's something like I mean, those are the things that I kind of try and push myself to do because I know it will help me. So these are the thing with the protocol is that it's kind of self-managed, right? So it's something that what you put in is almost maybe what you get out, right? So if you can do the walking on your own, if you can do the walking, the sorry, the exercise, and you know, these are the things that like when I first got into the protocol, it was a little bit overwhelming. So then I had to kind of, for me, I like to take things step by step. So I'm like, okay, so I have to number one, figure out the supplements, and then number two, figure out the diet, number three, the water. And so yeah, and then using Dr. Sandra's multivitamin, it helped me with the supplements because it was just like a one shot thing. I didn't have to figure out all like the amounts of all the different things that need to go into the supplement and things like that. So then
You
it was
use
easy for me.
you use Sonia Temberg,
Yes, yeah,
okay.
she's my doctor.
Doctor
Yeah,
Dr. Sonia Temberg. She's a protocol doctor in Vancouver. Just
yeah,
so you know. Go ahead.
yeah. Exactly. So then once I figured out like the supplement, like you know, and I got her multivitamin, that was easy. And then the second thing was the water. So though that obviously is a little bit more difficult. Now it's just something that I do. So I don't think about it that much. I just drink like, you know, in the morning I'll drink like a big mug of water. Then I'll drink a second mug. Like yeah, my goal is to get to 5 mugs a day. Each mug is 500 mils. So that's my goal. But then I, you know, sometimes if I have soup for lunch, I'll kind of decrease one mug and things like that. So I kind of take it as it goes. Um, and then the diet, I just, you know, like I've been gluten-free, dairy-free for quite a while. So it wasn't too difficult, the diet, because I was already dairy-free. So it was just like another kind of thing that I was doing. And then on top
There's
of
one
it, then
thing
you
I
do
want to
other,
touch on there.
sure.
That is with the diet, it's important to be strict about your diet, but don't be so strict you make yourself miserable. This is
Yeah.
what I mean by that. If you're a grandparent and your granddaughter has her birthday party, don't, you can have a little bit of ice cream. Or if they have a pizza party, you could have a slice of pizza. Next day, just drink more water or drink more water that day. Now, if you're borderline your calcium, you might want to talk to your doctor. But I know for myself, I never, um, if my son was having pizza, I always had a slice. Uh,
Mm,
I have had half a cup or a quarter of a cup of ice cream before for like a birthday party or something. But we are on a low calcium diet, not a
Mhm.
no calcium diet, a low calcium diet. That means you limit your amount of calcium, but you don't cut it all out. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, like, I mean, I wouldn't have this is just again for me, I wouldn't have the pizza because I'm gluten free. So for me, it's like the crust, you know what I mean? So, but they're like, you can go to places that have like a gluten
I
free crust.
Yeah, I eat cauliflower pizza.
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots of things you can do these days. Like, I mean, I'm lucky that it's now that I'm gluten free and dairy free and not, 10 years ago when it was more
Yes,
difficult. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And so, and even me, like, I mean, so being on the protocol for about 3 years, like it's nothing compared to, how long like people like you, John, have been on, or even Denise Meadows and things like that. So even me, I myself need a little bit of encouragement and help. And so, for example, like I was watching Denise Meadows' testimonial, and I myself have some questions for her. So I messaged her on Facebook Messenger, and so like it's great to be part of this forum because you have when you do have those questions, you have somewhere to go, and people are very generous with their knowledge, and they can
Yes,
answer
they've
to
been
you.
there.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And so it's really nice to be part of this forum where, you can ask questions and you don't have to just wonder and it goes unanswered. And I know it's difficult to talk to your doctor a lot because, they don't get back to you as soon as you would like. But yeah, being part of this forum is really it's been great for me because it's just something that, when I have something I can go to the two groups and I can just kind of type it uh, in like the search thing, and then I can read what other people have said. And it's honestly, it's helped me a great deal. Um,
There's something you said that I want to touch on there.
sure.
She talks about reaching out to other members of either Facebook or whatever group you're involved in that have had MS that are going through the protocol. That's a good advice, but don't get all your medical advice that way. But
No. Yeah.
but protocol doctors are extremely inundated with people. And so don't think you're going to shoot them an email and they're going to answer you right back. If it's an emergency, I've always said this, if you have an emergency, they'll read your email and they'll contact you back. But if you don't, they'll read your email and they may contact you back in a couple months. It's
Yeah.
just not important. And so I've always said to people, if you've emailed your doctor and they haven't contacted you back, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And so that's why this forum is like it's been great to have this forum because when I have questions, say about humidity, and if I don't know if something is quite not normal, but if I should be having this, or if this is something that I'm wondering, and I'm wondering if other individuals have had the same things, I can go to the forum and search for it, and then it's nice because then I can read other people's testimonials or other people's experience in these kind of things. So for me, like that's been really nice. But then again, it's also nice to kind of take a step back and take a step away on a couple of days when you don't feel like you need to do a lot of reading and things like that. And so it's nice. Like, I mean, like I said, it's kind of self-managed. So what you put in is kind of what you get out. So um, yeah. And then John, was there any other questions you had for me?
The the biggest questions that I have for you is that, or whenever you jumped into it, was what was there when you first started? Do
Hmm.
you remember what you did as far as contacting people? contacting doctors, that kind of thing. Because people are going to watch this and they're going to be like, well, how do you do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
For
I,
me, like if, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know how you did it. I contacted a friend doing the protocol. Uh, she told me about a protocol doctor. I contacted another lady I knew that was using him. I couldn't afford him. And so she actually paid for my way to do the protocol.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I
Yeah.
and then I set up an appointment and I met with my doctor for about an hour and a half the first
Hmm.
visit. And he asked me about my medical history and um, told me usually in 30, 40 days you start feeling different. For me, it was 31 days. He was correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, it was interesting. I was doing some of my own research on one of Dr. Terry Wall's forums online, and I ran into something that John you had put up, and then um, I think that's when I started to learn about the Coimbra Protocol. And then from there, I started doing my own research and I started researching the Coimbra Protocol. I did contact you, John, and then yeah, I think from there, I just took that leap of faith because I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Because it's a vitamin D protocol and I'm not going to be on any, you know, like nobody's telling me to take any disease modifying drugs or anything. Like it's just something that is, it's good for you. It's vitamin
Hey,
D.
did anybody tell you you can't take that much vitamin D? It's toxic.
Yeah. So that year when I saw my neurologist and, he asked me like, uh, he asked me how much vitamin D and I was taking, how much vitamin D I was taking. And that year I was taking 50,000 IUs and now I'm taking 80,000 IUs. I shouldn't say that actually, but
Well, it's okay to say that, but people, you must realize you do that under doctor's supervision,
yeah,
not by yourself.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So my neurologist was not impressed with that. Like he's like, "Oh, that's toxic and all this stuff." And he's like, "You can't take that much." And I did tell him, I said, I'm being monitored by like a doctor. It's not like I'm just doing it on my own. I drink a lot of water. There's a lot of things like I do blood work every 6 months. And so I check to see that it's not at toxic levels, but he's still not happy with that. But now, so I'm going to do an MRI. Like I don't do an MRI every year. I do it every 2 years or every 3 years. So I'm doing an MRI this year in September. So
By
then
the
when I go
way,
to see,
I want to say this. I did an MRI about 4 months ago. If anybody talks to my neurologist, have him call me with the results because he hasn't called me. So I'm
yeah,
I'm, I'm thinking my MRI was okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm hoping that this year in September when I do my MRI, and my last MRI was clear as well. So like I mean, like it's just to see that nothing has changed, and I just
Yes.
to kind of show the neurologist that being on high dose vitamin D is not like it's not always toxic. Like it's not is if you manage it and if you have someone looking after you, then like there's so many of us on this protocol, and it's not it's not a bad thing. So it's good. So I'm hoping that he sees that this year through my MRI. So he was the only one that told me not to take the toxic levels.
Right.
Um,
The endocrinologist where I'm at told my neurologist in an email, do
mhm.
not, I repeat, do not have the patient take high levels of vitamin D, and then he said it was toxic. So my neurologist would not get on board.
Yeah, yeah. No, my neurologist is not on board at all. Like but I mean, I don't blame them. They were raised and,
Right. They're
trained
trained that
in
way.
conventional. Yeah, they were trained in conventional medicine. So I understand that. Um, but yeah, like yeah, like I just hope that my MRI this year is clear as well, and I hope
It'll
that,
be wonderful.
yeah,
It'll
so
be wonderful. All right. I got to get off here. My time's running out.
oh, yeah, thank you so much, John.
Goes by fast, doesn't it? I love your smile. We smile. I told her earlier that it's kind of like a secret, and you're smiling because you're like, I know something you don't know. That's the way
Hmm.
you feel. But a smile when you do the protocol is natural. It's
Yeah,
natural. You're just so happy. And that's the way I am. And I know you are too. Great seeing you again. Thanks
yeah, it
for
was
the
great seeing you
interview.
too.
I'm glad you're doing well. We'll do another interview in maybe 6, 8 months. We'll just keep following you and showing
Sounds
people that
great.
this works. All right.
Yeah,
Good
sounds
seeing
great.
you. Good seeing
Thanks,
you.
John.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Let's see if I can log off here.